Now that 2026 is already a few weeks on the way, I wanted to look back on 2025 once again. A fantastic gaming year, but there were also some disappointments. And since nothing is more fun than looking back on that, here are my top 5 disappointing games of 2025.
That does not sound fun.
Because yes, no top 10 this time, because I simply didn't get to 10 disappointments. I could have forced it, of course, by putting games like Doom the Dark Ages on there, but that was simply a good game. Too good for a list like this, even though it was by far not as good compared to Doom Eternal and Doom 2016. Or Adamfall, which started off really strong but eventually lost my attention, partly due to the quite vague mission design and the very poor AI. Yes, if I'd proceed like that way, I might have gotten to 10, but I thought that was lame. So I'll keep it at 5. And once again, just like with my top 10, this isn't an absolute list, just my opinion. Feel free to let me know which games you found disappointing last year in the comments, and if you disagree, you're welcome to, just keep it civil. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's get started.
Copy that.
So starting at number 5, Sniper Elite Resistance. Like the previous Sniper Elite installments, especially with the 5th, this Sniper Elite game was disappointing. It wasn't a completely new installment, given the fact that it wasn't called Sniper Elite 6, but it wasn't a real spin-off either. What it was, however, was incredibly repetitive, both compared to previous installments and within the game itself. Repetitive objectives, open maps that offered real freedom but never quite reached the level of, say, a Hitman game, and terrible AI that was sometimes so dumb that I have doubts if they were able to take a shit by themselves, and sometimes spotted you so quickly it felt bizarre and unfair. Fortunately, you could still blast through it as a fairly mediocre third-person shooter. No, this wasn't the evolution of Sniper Elite it could have used, but once again, that was to be expected. And so I put it at number 5. Number 4, Ninja Gaiden 4. This one secretly stung a little. Earlier this year, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black was shadow dropped as a warm-up teaser for this 4th installment, and I really liked that teaser, but Ninja Gaiden 4 didn't grab me. The gameplay wasn't as good as Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, the style was bound to cause a seizure, and the setup with the optional objectives wasn't really for me. I'll give it another chance, because I have to admit I put it down quickly. And maybe if I put more hours into it, I'll come back to this. But the fact that I've put it away so quickly maybe says it all.
Oh no! Looks like you've been cut off!
And then at number 3, Avowed. Although I've been looking forward for years to Avowed, Obsidian's new RPG, I have to admit I expected much more. Obsidian had surprised us with the Outer Worlds in 2019, and now with Microsoft behind them, they could really take things to the next level. But unfortunately, Avowed didn't quite pan out.
Does that make sense?
It all felt like a very simple, old-fashioned RPG that, at some point, felt like a drag. Uninteresting, excruciatingly long dialogue, repetitive gameplay, uninteresting quests and characters, and graphically I found it all to be the bare minimum. Yes, there were some good elements, and as an RPG it was fine with the upgrade options, factions, playstyles and whatnot, but all in all I expected much more, and now Avowed is nothing more than a very average 7 out of 10. It all felt a bit dated, a problem that the Outer Worlds 2 also has, by the way. But so far I like that one a bit better, which is why it's not in this top 5. But if this had been a top 10, who knows. For now, I'll leave it at Avowed, at number 3. Sad to say, it's disappointing.
Disappointed!
Number 2, Mind's Eye. I was really looking forward to Mind's Eye. I actually thought the trailers were pretty cool. Leslie Benzies was behind it, and it promised to be a kind of GTA open world game with cool gameplay. But upon release, due to the lack of review keys being sent out to media and YouTubers, red flags started popping up, and upon playing, it became clear that this was truly mediocre. The story wasn't very good, despite some of the characters being cool, albeit overly goofy to make the point. The gameplay was also mediocre in every way. The shooter action was mediocre, the driving was the bare minimum, but more importantly, the game was fucking linear in a boring way. You couldn't even get into other cars if you wanted to, you could only use the vehicles the game suggested, for example. Mafia the Old Country did this too, but it used the open world as a backdrop for a linear story much better. And I haven't even mentioned the bugs and glitches. The only thing I really found cool about Mind's Eye was the translation of Las Vegas into this game. They really nailed that. But that's really all there is to it. Everything else is mediocre or bad. And that says enough. However, there was one game that went even further this year and was therefore an even bigger disappointment. And that was this year. Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Last year Call of Duty faced more competition than ever in the multiplayer shooter genre, with games like Battlefield 6 and Ark Raiders. So it had to happen, and it didn't.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
I have to be honest, I judge this game by its insanely bad single player, because that's what makes or breaks these kind of games for me. Call me a boomer, but it's supposed to make me want more, like multiplayer or zombies.
Okay, boomer.
But because of this monstrosity, I didn't really touch those aspects. The single player did the stupidest thing ever, making it an online co-op campaign. You could play solo by not letting the party autofill, but then you would run into all sorts of obstacles. And because it was online, there were no checkpoints in the missions. So you always had to finish a mission, which could easily take half an hour. Moreover, if you did play it, you'd be presented with the most insane fever dream full of monsters, hallucinations and crazy shit. It was absolutely ridiculous. And that's why Black Ops 7 is the biggest disappointment of 2025.
Well, that was fucking dreadful.
And that's it, the 5 biggest disappointments of 2025. What was your biggest disappointment? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you liked the video. It helps my channel immensely. And for live gameplay you can go to my Twitch, twitch.tv/gameplayofj, and don't forget to follow me there too. For more content, check out the suggestions on the left or the channel on the right. For now, thanks for watching, see you in the next video, bye!